All right, this is Doug Stout. I'm with George Wolfe. It's January 16, 2014. George, where were you born?
In Newark,
Okay.
Boylston Avenue.
Boston Avenue.
Boylston.
Oh, okay.
In
Boylston.
the East End.
Yes.
Newark.
Yes. When were you born? What date?
1920. May 27th, 1920. We lived there till I was 3 years old. Then my father bought a lot up on Fairfield Avenue and built a home up there. Then we moved from Boylston to Fairfield Avenue and lived there till I went on my own
Right.
in Fairfield Avenue. And the house is still there.
Is it?
Yeah, it's still there.
And then your dad was a banker?
My father was a banker at the Newark Trust Company for 50 years. And my mother never worked. My mom, after the second child, who was 4 years younger than I was, James, she was sick. I don't know what happened. And she had goiter problem, and then she had cancer, and she was sick all of her life. She never had a good health. I felt so sorry for Mom, but she never had a good, healthy life. Good, healthy life.
Right.
And Dad wanted to travel, but he couldn't because of Mom.
Right.
Then my mom died. He traveled all over the world, Dad did. He sure did. He died at 92 and a half. He never had a sick day in his life. He had his own teeth, had 2 cavities, all he ever had in his teeth.
Oh, my goodness.
He was a remarkable man.
I guess. And he was a World War I vet, too.
He was a World War I veteran.
As we were talking. What were you doing when the war broke out?
When the war broke out, we just come from church. And was in our living room. We had the radio on to get the news. And we heard this about Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. We thought it was a joke. And they pressed it to come out. No, this is real. This is real. I said, oh my God, Japan bombed the United States. President Franklin Roosevelt come on, says, we're at war with Japan. We're at war with Japan. And my wife says, we just had a baby. She says, I hope you don't have to go. Well, I don't know. Things went on. First, I got my orders, like I told you, to go to Indianapolis and no, to go to Columbus. Go to Columbus first, and went with Gene Stevens, a buddy of mine. Gene passed it, but I failed because I had flat feet. They didn't want me in the Navy, so I went home. She couldn't believe it when I walked in the door and said, "Here I am, back home." What happened? Oh, they didn't want me. So I thought we were safe. But about 3 months later, I got a notice in the mail. Aha, we want you. We want you. So I got on the train with Henry Shawacre, who was from Owens. We went to Indianapolis, and when we got there, the colonel in charge of the base had been a football coach at Newark High School.
Oh my goodness!
And we worked under him.
What was his name, George?
Beg pardon?
What was the colonel's name?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Wish I could tell. I can't remember.
All right.
Anyway, we asked the sergeant if we go see the colonel. He said, "Just a minute." Yeah, you can go, but don't stay long. Okay. So we didn't want to shoot. It was just privates. So we talked to him about the war and everything. He said, "Well, guys, you got to go." So we left. He says, "Boy, we're in now. He'll keep us." Next day on the bulletin board, George Wolfe, you're going to Newport News. Henry Shawacre, you're going to Texas. So they split us up. So I went to Newport News on the train. When I got down there, I was a port of embarkation. I took basic training down there.
And about what was the date on that? Do you remember? I mean, month or
It's
year?
about, about October 1942.
Okay.
About October 1942.
Okay.
Anyway, I took basic training. It was terrible. We got all stripped up with the uniforms, a rifle, a pack, and the sergeant would follow me. He marched us down to a field. There was a big ditch there with a lot of water in it. He said, "Get in that ditch." What? You got to get in the ditch. So we walked down in that ditch, all of us. He says, "Now I want you to lay forward." What's all muddy there? Lay forward. There are guys back there that's got a Tommy gun, and they're shooting live bullets at you. Believe me, they're live. If you raise your butt up, you'll get shot in the butt. Hold down. Stay close to the ground. Boy, we hugged that ground with all we could. We crawled through that under barbed wire. And every once in a while, they had places where they had shells in there. And they bombed up in the air. The water about crowded in the air. Come down by broke her back. We crawled through that infiltration course. Come back and said, "We're going to have a full field inspection." Well, we're all muddy. Clean up. We got in the showers. Cut the wall. Got our rifle all wet. We dried our rifle off, took it apart, grazed it, put it back together again. We had satisfaction, and we passed it. We couldn't believe it, but we passed it. Well, I got into chemical warfare. That's where I was stationed, chemical warfare.
Right.
And I stayed there till and we had port duties and so forth. Day and night, shipments come through. When Patton, 7th Army come in there, it was a mess. They came down from the port up above, the staging area, and they boarded that ship. There was a colonel's Jeep, it was all painted up, nice and shiny and so forth. It was in the road. This tank just run over it. It did, run right over it. Oh, they tore down the fences. They went everywhere. They couldn't wait to get them out. It was already when they got to Africa. When they come off the ship, they had their meals wasn't their guns, so forth. They was ready to fight. When they got off that ship. It was great. They did that.
Right. Now, when you say you were in chemical warfare,
That's right.
Since there wasn't supposed to be chemical warfare, can you tell me what does that mean?
Chemicals.
Right, but that was that
we
we
had-
were going to use, or
I can remember CO and CWN. I can't remember all the chemicals
Right.
we did. What we did, and we had big barrels of bleach to whatever the chemicals still, we could put them on to neutralize them. And we run guys through. We had a big shed where we could throw chloroform in on them, and we did that. They were supposed to have their masks on with them, and they'd go in there, and we'd throw bombs in on them, and they had to put their mask on real quick
right.
and clear them, and all their tear gas, one. And from then on, chemical warfare, I went to Edgewood Arsenal up in Maryland. That was a chemical warfare base, and the colonel up there had a B-40 airplane. He flew around the base. They had civilians that everybody carried a mask with them. Civilians all carried a mask because that colonel would come over, fly over, and drop bombs on them. There was tear gas, but people just try and carry on that mask. So they better put their mask on.
Oh my goodness! All right, so you spent some time then in Maryland. What I didn't get, were you in the Army, Navy?
I was Army.
Army.
I was Army, and I stayed at Newport News till I was a staff sergeant, and I had my wife then. My wife wanted to come down there. She had the baby, so I got a room with the colonel, but was the lieutenant. that he had his wife had one baby expecting another one, because he wants somebody to stay with her. So my wife come down, and she worked hard. She worked hard, keeping the baby there, doing the daddies all by hand, no washing, everything by hand. And then finally got more orders to go ship out. I went to the captain. I said, I got my wife and baby here. I got to get them home. I gave me 3 days pass. So I had my car. I put them in. I started Route 60 up north. I got up in the mountains at night, and the lights went out. I couldn't get into work. So pretty soon, a car came up the mountain, and I told him what my problem was. He says, follow me. So I followed him down the mountains. We get down the mountain, and a little store was open. And I said, you got fuses for 35 for? Yep, I got it. Talk about the Lord. He looked over me. He put the fuses in. One went on home. That was something.
I guess.
Wasn't that something?
That is.
I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. Never.
So you got them back here to New
Yeah,
York?
so I come back, went out to Brooklyn, New York, and we was in a basic camp about 2 weeks. Started out for a roll call at 6 o'clock in the morning. And guess who pulled up? Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney come out with leggings and all rolled up because he didn't fit him. So him and Bobby Breen was with him. They were in USO. They were going over to interchange recruits. So I was going to go to ETO.
Yeah.
But up on the board, all staff sergeants, you're not going to go. You're going to New Orleans, Louisiana, and take basic training for the Pacific. So we got on a train, went down to New Orleans, and we got down there. We take basic training. It was terrible. Out there, basic training with new recruits, privates, looking at this guy with stripes on us, taking basic training. They wondered what was going on. What was going on? But we took him. When it was done, he said, "You're ready to go." So I said goodbye to my wife, and got on the train in New Orleans. Left Chicago. Got on the that fast train. I said, I can't think of what. Oh, Challenger. The name was the Challenger. Okay. It was a great train. It was sleeping apartments and mess hall, the whole 9 yards. So got on that one, went out to San Francisco. Went to the base out there. Out there about a week or two. And noticed that you're going overseas. So I went down there, then marched us down. Went on the boat down there. Said, look up anchor. Went underneath the Golden Gate Bridge. I was still on deck. Went out there about a couple of 100 miles. Looks up. There's a dirigible following us, looking for submarines, you know.
Okay.
Pretty soon I see a dirigible turn around. Oh, that's strange. Then pretty soon the ship turned around. The captain come on. We're having an engine problem. We're going back to San Francisco. So back out of the Golden Gate, ready we went in there. We couldn't get off the ship, of course. They worked on the engine. Next morning, we're going again. Underneath the Golden Gate Bridge, after 300 miles, that doggone thing turned around again. Captain, we're going back to port. I thought, my God, I get off this ship. Then back in. This worked on it again. Took off on the bridge, you're ready to go. We didn't have an escort because that ship had a 5mm gun in the front, 2 3mm guns in the back. They had 20 40mm guns on the side. It was well armed. But what they did, every 10 minutes, he changed course. It took that long for a captain in a submarine to chart our course and everything. It took him longer. When we changed the course, he had to start all over again. So we got out to the Mariana. We went by in the Philippines, or didn't stop. Went on. We got out about the Mariana Islands. I was laying on deck Sunday morning. Looked up in the sky, I seen these 5 specks. Oh my God. Oh my God, that's Japanese. Looks again, another P-38s, that's ours. They come down, all off the water, single file, run towards our ship. Boom, up they went. Boom! God, they could go. They did that twice. The third time, the last guy couldn't make it. He tried to dive into the water, but he hit the side of the ship, killed 18 sailors. Killed 18 sailors herself for the whole side of that ship. We went into Marianas. They picked it up. Then we went on. We landed in Finch Haven, New Guinea. And then I went up to Leyte in the Philippines. And then I went to Manila. When I landed in Manila, what a beautiful city. All white marble. It was a gorgeous city. Well, we would have tried to keep the Jats from getting down in the honeycombs in Manila, but they got in there anyhow. They were terrible. They were Barbadians. When they marched our men in single file, if a guy fell down because he didn't feel right, they'd either shoot him or cut his head off. They would. They'd either shoot him or cut his head off. They were nothing but barbarians. They got down in the honeycombs. We couldn't get them out. We used hand grenades and flamethrowers to get them out. They didn't care. They wanted to die. They thought their emperor was God. That's what they thought. They thought their emperor was God. If they died for their emperor, they would go to heaven. How wrong they were. How wrong they were. We did that till the war was over. And the war was over in 45. And we went and did the depot in September. Said we'd be out of there right away, get aboard, and go home. The captain said to me, I was a tech sergeant then, he says, would you like to go to Japan? Not really, I want to go home. I've been in the Army for 4 years, I want to go home. He said, I'll make you a master sergeant. No, I want to go home. So I want to go home. October went by, November went by. All we did was sit in their tents. There was 12 men in a tent on cots. When it rained, monsoons, you never know what it is. It rained often, day and night. The water rose up. Our ponchos was wet all over. We stink. We wanted to get a bath so bad we couldn't. It just kept raining. It was in a rice paddy. It was built up around so the water would stay in it. Built a mine all around. It was in a rice paddy. Anyway, in December, we went on a strike. We went on a strike. Congress said, get them guys off that island. That's what they said. Get them off of there, now. Boy, the ships pulled in, but they couldn't get in the harbor because the harbor was full of Japanese ships. Japanese had the ships in there. Our bombers come over and sunk them. They didn't get to pull their anchors up. Sunk them. We couldn't get in to get us. So they was hurled out in the ocean there in Manila, and they brought Higgins boats in. We loaded up Higgins boats, went out, climbed up the ropes, got on the ship, and went home. Of course, we crossed the 13th parallel. They had things they did on board ship. People tell you what they've done, they crossed the 13th parallel. Right. It was great. Anyway, instead of going, we got in, we started with San Francisco. They turned and said, we're going to go to San Diego. We can't go to San Francisco, they can't take us. When we got off at San Diego, down on the docks, was cameramen with their cameras and so forth. They wanted to see the guys that had a strike. we looked off. We went off that ship and said, we'll give you anything you want. Food, all kind of green foods, everything, steak and so forth. Milk, oh how we love milk. And they said, you'll stay here one day. We thought, we know the Army. Can't believe it. We did. The next day, they loaded us up in trains, and we went to Indianapolis. Discharged. They put $300 in my hand. When discharged, $300. I went to town. I took $150 of that $300 and bought my wife a watch. When I went home, I gave her that watch. She thought it was great. What'd you do? Well, I paid $150. You shouldn't have paid $150. Oh, what's the matter with you? We need that money. But I loved her so much. I wanted to give her some. And I loved it. And I did. I'd do anything for her. And I still would. We've been married 72 years. Think of that, 72 years. And I'm proud of it.
I'll bet.
I'm proud of her, too.
Be.
That's my story.
Okay, you told me part of another story where part of your job you were keeping track of the boats.
Oh, yeah. In Manila, under General MacArthur's command, I had a map and keep track of the boats in the Pacific. I had a pin for each boat. And when they moved, I had to move the pins. So when the brass come in and look at the maps and so forth, they knew what they wanted, where they wanted, and so forth. Well, what flies they had, so forth. They knew exactly where they were. And I was in charge of ships movement in Manila. MacArthur was in command,
Yeah.
He was in command, and I was a tech sergeant under his command. If I wanted to stay a little longer, I'd made master sergeant. But I wanted to go home.
I don't blame you.
I had 4 years in the Army, and I wanted to go home. So I said, I'll pass that to master sergeant. I'm going to go home as a tech sergeant.
And when you say MacArthur came in, did you ever have a chance? I mean, did he talk to you?
Oh, once in a while.
How was he?
Nice. Okay. Very nice. He was military.
Yes.
He was a great military man. When he went to West Point, straight military. Everything was military with him. Everything was military. And you better be military too.
Right.
You better be him. And salute and be really nice to him. And I did.
Yep. And then you came home and you told me you started working for Owens Corning.
I went back to Owens Corning for $22 a week. I was married, and a kid, married and a kid, and we lived on Penny Avenue.
Okay.
The house we lived on belonged to a guy that was a railroader for the Pennsylvania, and he worked in Columbus. And he wants somebody to take care of his house. So I forget. The rent was terrible cheap because he wants somebody to take care of that. He moved all his furniture up in one room in the bedroom, and we stayed in that house.
That was a good find.
That was before the war. Excuse me.
Okay.
That's before the war.
All right.
We stayed there until I was called in. Went to Indianapolis and maybe. She left her house, went home to her mother. They lived on Pine Street.
Okay.
She went home to her mother. I stayed with her mother during the war while I was in the service.
Were you able to keep in communication with her, with your family, with letters and?
Yeah,
and
just letters back and forth. Yeah.
All right.
I went to USO, and USO wrote letters, and of course they sanctified all your letters and everything, see what you wrote about. They read them all. For security, so forth. That's what it was.
Right. Loose lips sink ships.
That's right. Loose lips sink ships. That's right. Absolutely.
All right. If there was something that you wanted, our hope is that future generations will listen to your story and these other veteran stories. What do you want them to remember about the World War II vet?
Well, the World War II vets were very neat people. They come up through depression. These kids don't know what depression is. We ate beans and whatnot, which hand-me-down clothes we would wear. These kids wouldn't wear hand-me-down clothes. We didn't have anything to play. We made our own toys. We made them. I wanted money, and my dad said, "You want money, you carry papers." So I started carrying papers when I was 11 years old. What little money I had, not very much. I went to the movie house every Saturday afternoon for 10 cents. 10 cents, get in at the Grand Theater and see these movies to carry on week after week after week. And then we bought a car, same way, had to pay it off. But one thing we learned that everybody was, we knew how to take care of things. These kids now don't know, and we knew how to play. We never had any trouble. We never had trouble with smoke, drugs. We didn't know none of that stuff. It was a different generation. It was a different generation, what I can tell you about it. It really was.
Yes.
And we appreciated it. Everything we got, we appreciated it because we had to work for it. Nothing was given to us. We had to work for it.
Yeah.
Nothing was given to us. We had to work for it. And that's how we were. And we appreciated stuff because we didn't have anything.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel about the World War II vets.
Okay.
A lot of the vets said when they got out of the army, said, when I get home, I'm going to tell my son, I'm going to give him this. You shouldn't do that. Yep, I want to give him something I didn't have. They went home, and a lot of them, they told their kids the wrong thing, and the kids expected. They expected something. Dad to pass something out to them.
Yeah.
So they felt, well, I didn't have it, I want my kid to have it. That's the way it went.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you doing this, George, a lot.